Hello everyone, welcome to the Adkup Show. Today we are diving into the world of finance, focusing on a giant that's shaping our economic landscape, BlackRock. We'll talk about its founder, Larry Fink, his influence through ESG investing, and how BlackRock plays a role in global events like Russia-Ukraine conflict. So without wasting time, let's get started. Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, was born in California in 1952, has become a household name for those in finance world. Back in 1988, Larry Fink, with a background in political science and surprising pivot to finance, co-founded BlackRock with 7 others. Initially part of Blackstone, BlackRock soon became its own beast, focusing on risk management and fixed income. By 1999, Fink took this company public, and if you are one of the early investors, your share would have ballooned to over 7,000% today. That's from $14 a share to you do the calculation. BlackRock, under Fink's stewardship, has grown to manage over 10 trillion in assets by early 2025. Now, that's not a normal number, nor we are talking about some random billion-dollar company. We are talking about largest asset manager globally, which controls and manages all these multi-billion-dollar companies. BlackRock has big say in all these companies and their investments. This growth wasn't just about numbers, it was about strategic moves like merging with Merrill Lynch investment managers and acquiring Barclays Global Investors, which solidified BlackRock's dominance. BlackRock isn't just any company, it manages over $10 trillion in assets, making it the world's largest asset manager, surpassed only by economies of China and the US. Now, BlackRock is so big that both China and the US take advices from it to manage their entire economy. That's something really powerful if you think about it for a minute. Fink's journey began with a bank, or rather a bond. At first Boston, he was a top bond trader, but a $100 million loss in 1988 taught him a harsh lesson in risk management. Humiliation turned into motivation, and after a brief lesson, he linked up with Steve Squarzman to start Blackstone Financial Management. Within a year, they were managing billions. But Fink's real genius was recognizing the power of technology in finance, leading to creation of Aladdin, BlackRock's risk management software, which not only bolstered BlackRock's internal operations, but became a revenue stream by selling it to other institutions. They also generate big revenues through investment advisory and administration fees. Their bulk of revenues come from fees charged for managing assets, typically calculated as a percentage of assets under management, that is AUM. Assets under management refers to the total market value of investment that a financial institution such as an investment bank, mutual fund, hedge fund, or asset management company manages on behalf of its clients. Basically, this is what BlackRock does. Quote unquote, they manage. Performance fees is also another source for their revenue. Additional fees based on performance of certain investment strategies or funds. That's just a fees for strategic planning. Then finally, distribution fees. That is the cost associated with selling and servicing funds. Now let's move ahead and talk about their global influence. So let's fast forward to today. The BlackRock isn't just managing money, it's influencing global finance, which clearly means they are also influencing the global trends and politics. For example, during the 2008 financial crisis, BlackRock was go for restructuring toxic debt, advising giants like Bear Stearns and AIG. The US government called on them again in 2020 when the Federal Reserve needed some help in stabilizing the corporate bond market amid the economic shockwaves of global health crisis. Yeah, they played a major role in post-COVID economy, and yes, they definitely would have taken some favors in return. I mean, they definitely got some influence in politics and policy making. BlackRock's influence extends beyond financial crisis. They have been pivotal in ETF markets, owning a significant chunk of it through iShares. And when it comes to corporate governance, BlackRock, alongside Vanguard and State Street, holds enough shares in S&P 500 companies to sway corporate decisions, particularly through voting rights. Now let's talk about ESG, environmental, social, and governance. Fink has been at the forefront of this movement. His annual letters to CEOs are almost like commandments for modern capitalism, pushing for sustainable practices. But it's not without controversies. Critics argue that BlackRock ESG focuses might be more about optics than actual impact. This approach has strained debates, with figures like Elon Musk tweeting that S and ESG could stand for satanic. Yet BlackRock's push has undeniably influenced how companies operate, focusing not just on profits but also on how profits are made. This means that they are the one who are the market trendsetters, and to set market trends, you need to control the behavior of market. And in Larry Fink words, I quote, "We enforce behaviors." Now you decide what are those trends, and are those trends really good for the society? Switching gears, BlackRock's involvement in Russia-Ukraine war isn't about direct military action but economic reconstruction. They have been tapped to help rebuild Ukraine, advising how to attract investments post-conflict. There's an MOU with Ukraine to coordinate efforts for economic recovery, but with this role comes scrutiny. Some call it disaster capitalism, where firms profit from rebuilding efforts. BlackRock insists its role is advisory, aiming for economic stability, not just profits. Let's go further deep into this. According to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who ran for presidential campaign in recent election, during his 2024 presidential campaign, he made several statements regarding BlackRock's involvement in context of Ukraine conflict. Number one is money laundering. According to Kennedy, he described the U.S. assistance to Ukraine as money laundering scheme for BlackRock. He pointed out that much of the money allegedly doesn't go to Ukraine, but rather to U.S. defense manufacturers, many of which are owned or heavily invested in by BlackRock. He specifically mentioned Senator Mitch McConnell's comments, suggesting that the funds were essentially going back into the pockets of U.S. companies owned by BlackRock. Number two is control over Ukraine's asset. Kennedy claimed that Ukraine has been selling its assets, particularly agricultural land, to companies like DuPont, Cargill, and Monsanto, which he alleged are owned by BlackRock. He suggested that this was the part of a broader strategy where Ukraine has to sell off its government-owned assets to multinational corporations under the guise of loan condition imposed by the U.S. Coming to number three, that is pre-construction contract. Kennedy highlights that BlackRock was awarded the contract by Biden administration to rebuild Ukraine, suggesting that this was the part of a larger plan where BlackRock would benefit from both the destruction and subsequent reconstruction of Ukraine. Number four is economic strategy. He accused BlackRock of having a strategy to keep Americans divided, Republicans versus Democrats, etc., etc., while they continue to profit from conflicts like the one in Ukraine. Kennedy argued that this was not just about arms and reconstruction contracts, but also about controlling Ukraine's valuable agricultural lands, one of the most fertile in the world. Finally, the narrative of corporate control. Kennedy often framed his comments in context of corporate control over government policies, where he criticized not just BlackRock, but also broader influence of large corporations on international relations and conflicts. However, his target was BlackRock. Now, to achieve all this in Ukraine, BlackRock has asked Ukrainian government to enforce harsh austerity measures which might keep Ukraine poor for several years to come, or even for several decades. That's generational. If all these things are true, then it's cruel and evil and should be criticized. Now, moving ahead to other controversies, in more recent news, BlackRock has shocked many by applying for a spot Bitcoin ETF, a stark contrast to Fink's past comments calling Bitcoin an index of money laundering. This move shows BlackRock's willingness to adapt, even if it means acknowledging the legitimacy of cryptocurrencies. A lot of people will see this as breaking of principles and stand, but BlackRock is doing and will probably continue to do whatever is necessary for expansion, influence, and dominance. It's up to you to decide if it's good or bad thing, but we can't reject the fact that it's a part of capitalism. Moreover, BlackRock's deep political connections are notable. They have employed folks from both Bush and Obama's administration, showcasing their influence in policy making through lobbying. In 2022, their lobbying expenditure was highest yet, highlighting their strategy to influence regulations in their favor. Now we have Trump in the White House. So will BlackRock work with Trump? Yeah, of course they will. And why shouldn't they? So what do we make of Larry Fink and BlackRock? No doubt that they are a powerhouse of finance pioneered in investment strategy, yet not without their critiques. I mean, if an individual and his firm are managing wealth which is 10 trillion worth, then you will be hated but also loved and admired for your achievements. Fink has used capitalism to gain capital and then leveraged that to push for social changes through ESG, but at what cost? It is about the real change, or is it about control? We are seeing their involvement in wars as well as in setting of social trends. Thank you for watching. If you found this insightful, then give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and let me know in comments what you think about BlackRock's role in today's world. Catch you in the next video. Stay informed, stay curious. Peace out.